Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sally Watson. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. I am joined today with Jay Gutler from behind the camera. Wave to us, Jay. Hello, thank you. Catherine Heavens is our sound music person, as well as our joys and concerns. And we have visitors today. We've got Brooke Schaefer. Say wave, Brooke.
Hey, Brooke.
And Nancy Noggle. So they're brave enough to come and be with us today. If any one of you wants to come be with us when we do our recordings, come on by. We meet on Friday at 11 o'clock, so get here a little bit before that, okay? And we can probably take a couple of more people in here safely. And just remember, when we all leave here, we turn on our UV sanitizer, so we get the space all nice and ready for the next people who come in. So at this time, I invite everybody forward. I'm going to ask Catherine if you'll play Spirit of Life. It is number 123 in our hymnal. Brooke, come on up. We're going to sing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the land, giving life the shape of justice. Blooms holy blows, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Lovely. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. Ah, nice and warm. Thank you, everybody. Say, I hope you all remember to turn your clocks back an hour on Saturday, because I don't want you to miss our Zoom call tonight, November 1st, Sunday at 5 p.m. And then speaking of movies, was I speaking of movies? I was speaking about movies. Judy and Deb are trying to get a group together to, take over City Lights Cinema, one of their theaters. And if we get 25 people or less, we can rent the whole theater and show a movie or a documentary. So if you're interested in being a part of that group and you want to get on the distribution list, send an email to foofmovies@gmail.com. That's foofmovies@gmail.com, and let them know you're interested, okay? And then they'll keep you informed about what's coming up next. And then the other part is, we belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association, and within that there are 4 districts around the country, and we belong to the Pacific Western region, and they put out a newsletter every month. I think it's on the last Thursday. It's a fabulous newsletter filled with wonderful information. In the e-blast today, you'll see a link. You can write to them and ask to be included to be a part of that distribution. I think you'll enjoy reading what they have to share. And finally, vote. If you have not voted yet, please vote. And if you need a ride to help take your ballot to the drop box, if you can't get there on your own, you send us an email. You send it to florence.unitarian@gmail.com. Let us know you need some assistance. Somebody will come pick you up with your ballot, drive you to the drop box, and take you back home again, okay? So please do that. Send us an email if you need a ride. Remember, we've got to get it to the drop box by 5 o'clock Tuesday. I'm going to say that, okay? So, vote. It's really critical. Now, Brooke has volunteered to come forward and help with our chalice lighting. So I invite you to light your own candle from home as you listen to the words. Thank you. As you listen to the words of Reverend Diane Rollert, who is the minister in the Canadian Unitarian Council. Welcome, hearts. Come, hearts that are open and hearts that are closed by trials and sorrows, loss and misgivings. Come seekers, searching for answers, for respite, or a space to unleash your joy. Here, all are welcome. No excuses are needed, nor explanations. Bring your whole heart and let it be touched. As we light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, this moment belongs to each of us. So, I am going to invite Catherine Hemmons to come forward as she shares some of our joys and concerns and the importance of this time together. Catherine?
Sally, are you going to drop a shell?
I am.
For me?
Okay. When you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like Sally to put a shell in for all of you out there in the congregation and beyond who are feeling unsettled, maybe feeling dread about the world situation. Keep loving yourself. Direct all the kindness you can to your own heart. Only when you feel that glimmer of self-love, when you can really connect with that glimmer of self-love, can you step out and start extending it to someone else. As the saying goes, put your own oxygen mask on first. You'll be much more effective that way. You will have that breath of life within you. I just thought I need to remind myself of that, so I thought I'm going to remind everyone of that.
Thank you, thank you.
So I have a couple of things. I have Xana had knee surgery, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and it's coming along just fine. Xana. And of course, one for Bruce.
One for Bruce.
In his ongoing journey, and for his whole family that is supporting him in this ongoing journey. He is. Well, we're all magnificent, but he's being ultra magnificent right now, and I appreciate him so much. Anyone else in the audience? I think Brooke is raising her hand there. I will step away. I'll actually put the shell in, whatever she's going to say.
Thank you.
Can I hear you with the mask?
Yep.
So I just wanted to say I had a joy. I got to go to Long Island, New York and visit Nin and her family, and I had the best time. I ate the best food, and I was treated like a queen, and I got to swim in the ocean. It was only 63 degrees, but I had to do that while I was there. I picked up 15 pounds of rocks and brought them home in my suitcase. I had a really good time, and I just want to thank Nin and her family for including me, and I want to send good wishes out to everybody. I love you all, I miss you, and I hope you're well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need some joys here. I'm putting 2 in there.
Okay.
Because joys are really necessary right now to really remember each one. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, joys. And it's good to have you back, Brooke. I miss seeing everybody's faces. So, and Nancy, good to see you too. So we have a musical interlude. And, you know, I'm reminded that these music pieces are really critical, I think, for you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy a beautiful piece that Jeff Lovejoy created. It's called Enter with Care. And we offer these 3 minutes of music to help you get grounded for the day and this interesting week ahead. We hope you'll enjoy. Catherine, can you find that and play that? So enjoy, everybody. Speaking of joy, it's my pleasure and a joy to introduce our program today from Lynda Colter-Bergh. Now, Lynda has been interested in politics since she was a child, and in her own words, she spends way too much time following what's happening here and around the globe. As a coach, Lynda has heard firsthand the impact of these challenging times on the lives of her clients. Lynda is passionate about bringing people together in very practical ways across party lines to rediscover our ability to work together towards a better world. Today she will share some of her tips in her presentation titled, "The World We Create."
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm glad to be with you, wherever you are and whenever you see this. I'm recording this so that it airs on November 1st, 2020. In a few days, our world is going to feel very charged no matter the result of the election. And what kind of world do you want to create when that happens? My intuition tells me this is going to be a bumpy ride. No matter who wins, I feel the results will be challenged. And throughout November, we're going to see a lot of emotions emerge. A large swath of Americans will be in shock, feeling angry, maybe even feeling rage. And another group will feel elated, relieved, hopeful, and happy. And yet another group will feel disappointed because either way, they really don't feel represented by either candidate. And in November, if those things really do come to pass, those roles could reverse just as easily by new tallies coming in or court decisions. So I really do think that we have a lot of craziness in front of us, and I wanted to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. I felt strongly that I had a message within me that needed to be shared during this chaotic time. There's a few reasons for that. One is I had some great parents that gave me really good examples of what this looks like in real life. I'd watch them reading about candidates and proposed bills and discussing them, and sometimes it was heated. And oftentimes they ended up in opposite opinions. And I'd watch them leave the house and laugh because they knew they were going to go to the polls, driving there in sometimes snow and horrible weather, just to cancel each other's votes out. And it never made sense to me. I remember asking them, why bother? Your votes aren't going to count. And they sat me down and they were very stern. They said, Lynda, you're wrong. Both of our votes count. Because some people in some countries don't get the right to vote. They don't get that chance. And it's the very act of voting that's our civic duty. And it's not just about what's right for us, but what's right for the country. And even if we don't agree, it's important that we do that. Well, they had a lot of influence on me because when I went to college, I took a major in business because that's what you did. And I did a double minor in philosophy and political science. And that didn't last very long because it didn't take very long for me to actually realize that our system was really quite corrupt and that business would eventually own everything because that's where the money was. And when Citizens United happened in 2010, that was the seal for me. I knew at that point that business truly did own our government. This isn't a lesson on history. However, I do think that it's important to be informed, and that's just part of the story. So understanding, let's fast forward to 2016, 2015 with that election. I saw so much division coming up. And I really wanted to help people with understanding each other and try to solve this so that we could do it in a way that was more productive. So I started a Facebook group and I called it Across Party Lines. And I invited anybody that had those same desires to join. And the rules were very simple. No name calling, check your facts and your sources before presenting them, be curious and ask questions, listen without judgment, argue policies, not positions, and try to find a solution to problems that both of you want to solve. That was my goal. And it worked pretty well. We had a lot of people from different groups having sometimes heated discussions, and it was a continual monitoring for me. It took a lot of time, but out of that came a lot of understanding with people. And even today, I see some of them talking on Facebook on opposite sides of things, but having great discussions. So I know it works. So now I look at us and we're divided even more than we were then. But there's a second reason why I wanted to talk now. In 2016 on election night, I went to sleep not knowing who was going to win. And I wasn't going to honestly be happy with either one of them. I had felt anxiety for months building up to the election. Didn't want to see it, didn't want to know anything about it, checked out. And in about 3 in the morning, I woke up to a voice. It wasn't my husband's, but it was clear as a bell. And I was swept with this feeling of peace, of absolute peace. And I heard Trump won, reset button. Trump won, reset button. And those are not the words I thought I would feel and or hear and feel absolute calm and peace come over me. And I realized that perhaps the Trump one was just an indicator, something to tell me something I didn't know, so I would pay attention to the rest of the message. So for years, I've contemplated, what does reset button mean? And if you think about it, how many times have we heard reset button lately? You know, we're living in a time with economic, health, and just our entire lives are chaotic because of the pandemic and loss of jobs. And we keep hearing the word reset button on TV every time they talk about a different area in our lives. So I think this is that time that we're actually dealing with that reset button. In addition, we're being bombarded with hatred and fear and name calling and despair. And who would have thought that this would create such divisiveness in this country? On one hand, for some groups, it means safety, and for the other, it means control. And so just the simple thing of a mask is creating division in our lives. So what are we going to do about that? What can we do in the meantime? Well, there's some things that I think are really important to remember, that this is not forever. Everything changes. And so part of it is getting through this time and understanding that as bad as it is, it will get better. The other part, though, is how do we want to be during this time? I can only control my response, and you can only control your response. So first, let's recognize that. And let's recognize that this is a charged time and there are going to be a lot of emotions flying. Be really clear about the behavior that you're willing to tolerate and not tolerate in your presence. You know, my dad at one point, when I was a kid, actually had a lot of friends who were very, very racist. And it really bothered me. And I went to him one time crying, asking him why he would allow them to say those things in our home. And he looked so sad and so shocked. And he said, honey, when I grew up, those things weren't considered racist. They were just the words we used. But I'm sorry, I won't allow that anymore. And he sat down with all of his friends and said, if you want to say that in your home, I don't care. But you're not allowed to say it in my home, not on my watch, not on my time. And for me, that was so important that he stood in his integrity for his family and said, this is not okay in my presence. If you're going to do that, you know, I will fight. And he literally said, I will fight for your right to say it because I will argue against it. And I hope that my argument will someday change your mind. But you are not allowed to do that in my presence. And I think that that stability and that strength, when we come across things that we find unjust, is very important to do. And so let's also remember that a lot of the reasons for that come from fear, because anger is a secondary emotion to fear. And I personally believe that we all have this need for feeling safe, for stability, for shelter, to find connection, love, purpose, hope. And if we can connect at that level, we can actually make a change in this world. And isn't that what we really want to do, is raise the vibrational frequency of this world and make it a better place? I feel also, and this is my personal belief, that we are all divine beings. We all have a spark of divinity within us. And that means that the person that I see on TV that just makes my blood boil, well, you know what? He also has divinity in him. And as much as I disagree with a lot of the things that happen, I have to remember that beyond that personality and those actions is a divine being with a purpose that I may not understand. And so I can be upset at the actions of that person, but in the end, I believe that we are all one. We all come from one place. We are all connected. Everything on this planet is connected. And there's times where I've had to say, do I believe that or don't I believe that? And this may trigger you, because I can look at somebody that I absolutely just detest their actions, but I have to understand in my core being that I am still a part of them and they're still a part of me, and that there's some reason that they're there. Maybe it's to reflect something within me that I don't like. I don't know. But I can stand against the actions, or stand up to the actions rather than stand against them, and say, not on my time, not on my watch, without attacking the person. So I'm going to go back to those things that I did before and tell you how I use those in real life. Because recently I had an opportunity to put my beliefs to test and model my behavior in real life, real time, with real people. And my first thing I knew I had to do was watch my triggers, because I knew that just seeing a sign could trigger me. And I will admit right now with everybody, in case you haven't known me before, I was a Bernie babe. So I am far left, but I'm also got very practical parts to me that, anyway, that goes beyond it. But what I will say is that yes, I will see signs that trigger me. And I will see people in both parties that trigger me. So I have to own my triggers. And I think that's important in our community, because we don't know, or maybe we do know, friends that are in all of the different levels of support for different candidates. So we don't know in our own community who is supporting Trump, who is supporting Biden, who is supporting neither of them. But we do know that a lot of those people are our friends. So let's keep that in mind. So one of my goals when I did this, I actually had to go and talk with people in their homes, and knew I would be going to homes that had all of those signs that triggered me. And I did. I went there. And first I want to say thank you. There's a woman named Rosemary that is teaching classes with nonviolent communication in our own community. And without her tools that she gave me, I don't think I could have done this. So I highly recommend it if anyone does. My first thought was, I've got to stop the labels in their tracks. If somebody's talking about something and they label it, it's got to stop. And I've got to change that. The other part is I had to go and understand what my goal was. So my goal was to be of service, and my goal was to create connection, because I thought if I could do that and I could show that that was possible, maybe with the next person, they would do the same thing. So I would talk with them, meet them in their homes, and inevitably, somehow they would say something and I would probably make a face because I have a bad poker face. And they'd say, oh, you're one of those. And sometimes it would be followed by a label. Often, most of the time, would be followed by a label. And I just look at them and I go, can we back up? And can you describe to me what you think I am without using that word, that label? What do you think that I am? What do you think I believe in? And inevitably, it would come up with something like, oh, you're a communist. You believe in communism. You believe in this or you believe in that. And usually it was incredibly far-fetched. I said, wow, you know, I don't believe in communism. I don't believe in that either. But I'm curious. It sounds like that's pretty scary to you, right? And they would always agree. And I said, well, it's pretty scary to me too. What would it be like if it wasn't that way? What do you want out of this country? You know, what do you want your world to look like? I'm curious. And we'd start having a conversation. And you know, usually it would be, I'm tired of seeing people fighting. I'm tired of people being so rude. I'm tired of all of the same things that I was tired of. They were tired of. And so we started connecting with these things that we were afraid of, that we disliked, that really went beyond all of the labeling. And in the end, a lot of times they would say, you know, thank you for this conversation. Thanks for not immediately calling me a racist for liking Trump. Thank you for not demeaning me or telling me this or calling me that. And I would acknowledge and say thank you. Thank you for having a conversation with me that was meaningful. You know, I see a lot of the things that we have, our fears are the same and our desires are the same. Do you think that we could, as a society, have more dialogue like this and actually get somewhere? And inevitably, I would get yes. Yes, I think that would be wonderful if we could do that. So I would challenge each person I did that with, that the next time they were approached by someone who labeled them, who had those feelings, to ask them the same way I asked what their feelings were, what they were afraid of, what they wanted, and start a dialogue and try to find something that was in common that we could all work towards. I think that's how we make it through this time in a healthy way. I think it's how we create connection, how we raise our vibration, and how we can learn to have different opinions and still move forward together, just like my parents did, just like the people in my Facebook group did. We don't always have to agree, and sometimes we bring skill sets that are completely different that can create a better solution. So I challenge you to try to step out of that tendency to want to label, and challenge you to, during this time, be kind to yourself, your family, and your neighbors, and those people that you found it really difficult to be kind to, and model for them what that's like. Because I'm telling you from my heart, it can make a huge difference. And don't be afraid to say, not on my time, not on my watch, not in my life, not in my home. Those behaviors are not acceptable, but do it in a place of stability. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk. I love that we have spent this time together. I hope I gave you something to think about that's of value, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say about it. You can always reach me, and the information will be below. I'm on Facebook, Lynda Colter-Bergh. I would love to hear from you. Thank you, be blessed, and walk in beauty.
Thank you, Lynda. Really appreciate your message. It's truly inspiring, and may it help guide us through the next week and beyond. And speaking of next week, we have Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller will be with us, and she also will be talking about what's next after this election has been completed. So it should be interesting. She's got some pretty interesting things to say about that, okay? So it'll be a nice talk next week. Our offering this week is the last of our offering for food backpacks for kids. This is an organization that provides food to those kids who don't necessarily have enough food to get them through the weekend and maybe even through the week. They have a van that they pile all the food in, and they take it to the schools and they help to distribute. Really good organization, and they really appreciate our financial support. As well, we ask that you consider your monthly contribution to this particular fellowship so we can continue to keep our doors open, our virtual online going, and keep us going in the right direction. And we all know that giving is a spiritual practice, and when practiced over and over and over again, becomes really, truly meaningful. So at this time, you can make your contributions. You can go on our website at florenceuuf.org and click on the donate button, and it's pretty easy. We've got many people who are paying automatically through their MasterCard or their Visa, or even PayPal, and it's an automatic payment every month. Some folks ask their banks to send us a check automatically once a month. That's really easy as well. And certainly you're welcome to send us a check to P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439. We will appreciate your contributions. And as we move forward with this offering here at FOOF and in your home, I ask that you repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Thank you. So Brooke, you want to come forward, and we're going to extinguish the chalice. And I'm going to offer these words from Robin Gray, if you would. Oh, she did a good job. The flame in our chalice and yours at home are now extinguished, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of any crisis, or the love we share in all the world. I love that. So Reverend Elizabeth offers us the following closing words titled, "Nothing is Static." This goes particularly well with the world that will no doubt change significantly in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead.
These are the words of the Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti. The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake, reminding us that the solidity we often love and seek is an illusion. The crumbling dust of the desert plains, the moist fertility of farmlands, the eroding coastline of tidal shores, all are changing. Committees dissolve or are created. Leaders retire or step away. Ministers come and go, and bylaws are amended. New experiences lead to new truths, which foster evolution. The natural course of life is always pushing us toward greater understandings. of what it means to be human. Everything about our existence points toward change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. And it's hard because change involves loss. Can we hold the losses well while not holding ourselves back? The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake, where nothing is static.
We've come to the conclusion of another fabulous Sunday service at FOOF. We thank you for being with us. Please stay along here with us for a few more minutes. We're going to sing the peace song. I've got Brooke here, I've got Catherine's going to come forward, and maybe we can talk Jade to come around and sing with us. And remember our Zoom gathering today at 5 o'clock. So, Catherine, let's sing the peace song. Nancy, you can sing along too.
Walk with you.